and welcome back to Football Barbie. Another week has passed. I cannot believe we have started week 10. So let me get you some predictions before the week actually starts for once so I can tell you about the Thursday night game. Even though it's kind of a game you don't necessarily maybe want to watch, there might be a reason to actually know who the winner is going to be. So let's get it started and talk to you about week 10 NFL predictions.
Hold on, wait a minute. Y'all thought I was finished?
So there's more than one reason that I'm wearing red today, which you will understand and see why as we begin to talk about it. Please keep it tuned to the end of the video to figure out who is going to get a prize for this week. I will ship it out to you. I just need you to send me your email address, and I will talk about that a little bit later, whoever did their picks. Same as anything, I do have now some new Raiders towels. I have 3 of them. So for whoever is either a Raiders fan, if the Raiders win, because you'll see who I'm picking. We have Tampa Bay. We still have an Eagles pendant. I have Denver Broncos. And I have a Steelers towel. So we're going to do some raffling for each week until this stuff is gone. At the games, a lot of times you do get these items, and I would like to share back. Please just make sure you like, comment, subscribe. You can turn on the notification bell so you know when I'm actually putting out a video. So let's get it started and talk to you about Thursday night's game, which would be tonight. I am putting this video out before the game starts, and that is Carolina at Chicago. Now, neither team is doing well. Poor Robbie in our house is a Carolina Panthers fan, and the game that they won was on his birthday. Haven't won a game since, and not necessarily the best. The Bears are not doing well by themselves either, as we all know. So it's kind of like, I know a lot of people are Bears fans and a lot of people are Panthers fans that are like, do we even continue to watch? Because if our team's doing so bad, but here's 2 teams that are basically at the bottom of the pack, probably joining Arizona as well. And neither one, can seem to score very well, or, they both have players on their teams that are actually pretty good. It's just that people are getting hurt. I don't know. It's kind of like, what do you do in a situation? But one of these teams who's not very good is going to have to win. So the Bears, though, were basically being in a win-win situation because for this game, if they win, they win. And if they lose, they win because of the NFL draft. So that's going to be really important for basically both teams going now in week 10. The Bears will be getting the Panthers' first round pick in the 2024 draft. And if the Panthers lose, they will be one step closer towards getting that first overall pick. So they're already giving up their first pick, but if they lose, then they have a chance to obviously get the first pick or close to it. If the Panthers win, the Bears have their own first round pick in 2024, and their draft position improves if they lose the game. So either the Bears have Panthers pick and they'll be close to it, or the Bears have their own pick and they'll be close to it. So it's kind of like, for the Bears, this is a great situation. As for Bryce Young, he has not done the Panthers well this year at all. So he's been struggling bad on the road. He has won 0 of 3 games on the road so far this season. He has thrown 4 interceptions while averaging 203.3 passing yards per game. So obviously he is a rookie, but I bet you the Panthers would really love to go back in time and pick CJ Stroud over Bryce Young, because CJ Stroud's killing it and Bryce Young is not. Good chance as well that DJ Moore, who formerly was on the Panthers, is going to come back for revenge, because DJ Moore did get traded last season from the Panthers to the Bears. And if you're a team that trades, wouldn't you want to kind of prove your team wrong and be like, oh, you guys got rid of me? Why wouldn't I try to do really well? So Moore's already had 3 games this season that have been over 100 yards, and I have a feeling there's a good chance he's going to get a 100-yard game tonight against the Panthers. As for the quarterback for Chicago, nobody really knows. They've had Tyson Bagnet, which basically nobody knew anything about before, he played. But Justin Fields didn't just return into practice. He does have his hurt thumb. He is, I think he's questionable. I'll talk about that in a second. But you just don't know. I mean, the Panthers are having a hard time trying to stop the run, and they have surrendered the 5th most rushing yards per game this year. So that's actually pretty bad. However, what is surprising, though, about the Bears is that they're running over everyone with 135.3 yards per game on the ground, which is the 4th best number in the NFL heading into week 10. So the team that has barely won any games is the 4th best in running, but they just cannot seem to beat their opponents. But let's talk about the injuries. So as for Carolina, you have out linebacker Brian Burns with a concussion elbow. You then have cornerback CJ Henderson, concussion. Wide receiver Chenault Jr., ankle injury still. Tight end Steven Sullivan, shoulder. Doubtful is wide receiver DJ Chark. Elbow questionable is safety Xavier Woods with a thigh injury, and safety Von Bell with quad injury. As for the Chicago Bears, out you have fullback Kahari Blasingame, concussion. OL Nate Davis with ankle. Linebacker Tremaine Edmonds, who has a knee injury. And then you have defensive end Terrell Smith, who has an illness. Doubtful is quarterback Justin Fields. So he's doubtful for Sunday. I guess it just really depends on whether he wants to play and whether the Bears really want to bring him back against, Carolina. Does it really matter? How much do they really care right now? If they lose, then like I said, they're gunning for draft picks at this point. It's pretty sad when we get to week 10 and you're already thinking about draft. Also questionable is defensive back Josh Blackwell, hamstring, running back Khalil Herbert, ankle, and wide receiver St. Brown, hamstring. So Barbie's picking Chicago. It's Carolina at Chicago. Bryce Young is 0 for 3 this season for road games. It's not like I feel like Chicago really is any better. It's kind of a flip a coin here between Carolina and Chicago, but I am going to be taking Chicago. Next, let's talk about the Indianapolis Colts at the New England Patriots. Who knows what is going on with Bill Belichick? He cannot win games. Their team can't draft, and his defense is failing him. They lost to a team last week, the Commanders, who weren't even trying that hard to play, who traded away 2 of their best defensive players. So that's kind of hard to see, and they still managed to win, the Commanders. Though the game, what's going for Bill Belichick is that the game is being played in Germany, and he's never lost in Europe. He's 3-0, but is that like Tom Brady time? Because that might help. The other advantages for him, for the Colts, it's Gardner Minshew is the one who is playing, who has started a good amount of games. However, he's never had to face Bill Belichick and the Patriots before. So who knows if he's, up to par to play against him, even though the Patriots are doing absolutely horrible this season. And, I think I gave them 6 wins. I don't even know if they're going to hit 6. I'm kind of curious to see. As for the Colts, there are no major injuries that are new. Like I said, Minshew is playing for them. And then for the Patriots, you saw Devontae Parker, who is a wide receiver and is questionable. So Barbie is taking the New England Patriots here in Germany. I'm tired of this Germany stuff. Like, listen, I think it's cool and everything, but at the end of the day, on the West Coast, it's 6:30 in the morning for a football game. Who wants to watch football at 6:30 in the morning on a Sunday? It's bad enough that I'm so used to the East Coast time. I mean, it's kind of cool, don't get me wrong, that it's 10 o'clock in the morning here for the first game. But 6:30? I mean, who woke up to watch? Like, now Miami and Kansas City could have been more interesting than that. But who wants to wake up at 6:30 in the morning to watch the Colts at New England? Do you? Because I don't. So, picking New England here. Next up, we have Cleveland at Baltimore. Now, both teams have been on fire, especially Baltimore lately. All NFC North teams at this point have a possibility to make the playoffs. Honestly, I'm kind of gunning for that then. I love anything that's a first time in NFL history. And if that's the case, I hope that every team manages to get in. So headed into the week 10, all 4 teams are at least 2 games above 500, which marks the first time that has happened this late in the season since the divisions were realigned in 2002. No division has ever sent all 4 of its teams to the playoffs. Yeah, because I mean, the one year, was it last year, the NFC East? We had all 3 teams. We 3 of 4, not the Commanders, which are surprising me this year. Also, all the 4 teams have a combined 17-6 against non-divisional opponents. However, the Browns will be bringing NFL's best defense to a degree, depending on how you want to choose that best defense, what it's based on, to this game. Through 9 weeks, the Browns have surrendered 234.8 yards per game, which ranks first in the NFL. However, the Ravens defense has given up the fewest points this season in the NFL. So on one hand, the Browns have given up the fewest yards, and on the other hand, the Ravens have given up the fewest points, which to me, that's kind of surprising. You wouldn't really think about it when you think about the Browns and you think about the Ravens, but who knows? Now, the Ravens quarterback is playing at MVP level. Lamar Jackson got that contract extension, brand new. I think it made him, was he then the highest paid quarterback in the NFL? He does leave the NFL in completion percentage with 71.5% and the quarterback rushing yards, which is something that has only been accomplished by one quarterback in NFL history, Steve Young, in 1994. So congrats to Lamar for doing fantastic this season. He just needs to stay healthy. As for the Browns, for the injuries, you have David Bell, wide receiver, who is questionable, and the Ravens have no new injuries, at least. So I'm going to pick Baltimore. It's in Baltimore. Lamar Jackson's on fire. I think they might have a tough time going against Cleveland's defense, but if they can get everything together, I'm going to be really happy for them. So go Baltimore. Next up, you have Houston at Cincinnati. Now, Houston surprising everybody. CJ Stroud is killing it as a rookie. Finally, for Cincinnati, you have Joe Burrow, the Bengals, coming back and finally doing better. I had them at so many wins for the season, and I was super upset in the beginning of the season that they had not been able to score a win. Now, yes, you do have said CJ Stroud, let's talk about him first, is doing phenomenal for the Texans. He swept the rookie record for most passing yards in a single game with 470 last week, and set the record for the highest quarterback rating by a rookie quarterback in a single game at 147.8. The problem for the Texans is that their quarterback, who has them on fire, like I said, is Joe Burrow, basically coming back from death with his calf injury. Over the past 5 weeks, he has the highest passer rating in the league since week 5. Only one other player has done that, and that was Peyton Manning during his MVP season in 2013. The Texans only have 17 sacks, though, for the season, and 6 of them were against the Panthers. And like we said, obviously, we know that Bryce Young is not doing that great for the Panthers. So 11 other sacks against the rest of the teams for this season. Unless the Texans are able to sack Joe Burrow a bunch. And don't forget that the Bengals picked up Orlando Brown Jr. from the Chiefs, who is a fantastic, what was he, a right tackle or a left tackle, whatever it is. He's a great player for them. And I mean, Cincinnati does have a good defense. I don't know how the Browns have one of the best defenses in the league. Highly surprised by that for this season, but so is football. So I'm going to be taking Cincinnati here. For the Texans, though, their injuries are Robert Woods, wide receiver, is questionable. Damian Pierce, their running back, is questionable. And Brevin Jordan, their tight end, is questionable. As for Cincinnati, Jamar Chase, which is definitely one of the best wide receivers that they have for sure, is questionable with a back injury. Charlie Jones, wide receiver, has a chance to return from the IR list as well. So I think that Cincinnati does have the better chance to pull off a win here. It is their home game. So let's see what happens if Cincinnati can win. Now, as for the color red, San Francisco has been doing horrible, okay, the past couple weeks. I'm surprised. They have an amazing team. Everybody knows that they're stacked, but the injuries have been getting them. But I think this week that San Francisco is going to pull off a win against the Jacksonville Jaguars, which is at the Jacksonville Jaguars home. San Francisco, Deebo Samuel, a wide receiver. He is questionable with a shoulder injury. There is a chance that he can come back and play. For the Jaguars, Zay Jones is wide receiver, is questionable with a knee injury. So the league thought that it would be a good idea to still have the Jets and Raiders game on Sunday night. Now, this I feel like would have been the game for Sunday night. The Jacksonville Jaguars have been on fire. They have a 5-game winning streak, which is why I tell people, like, when people think that their teams are done for the season, I'm just like, remember, the Jaguars went on a winning streak. Last season in San Francisco had Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, won 7 games in a row. You never know what's going to happen at the end of the season. It could be a horrible first half and you come back and squeak into the playoffs at the last game. You never know in football, okay? Whereas the 49ers haven't won a game since week 5. Remember, this is week 10. Their biggest issue during their 3-game losing streak, probably all 3 games, which I effing picked them, is the fact that there have been injuries. So during those 3 games, you have had left tackle Trent Williams and Deebo Samuel both miss multiple games during their losing streak. Also, Brock Purdy suffered a concussion in week 7 and hasn't been the same since. As for the Jaguars and the 49ers are both coming off a bye. Obviously, you know that whoever made the schedule did this on purpose. Williams and Samuel will both likely be playing on Sunday, and Purdy should be back hopefully to 100% this weekend. If all 3 players do come back for San Francisco 49ers, I do think that they have a great chance, like I said, to win. It could be a problem for the Jags defense, who that hasn't been able to stop the pass game this year. The Jags are surrendering 263.5 passing yards per game, which ranks 30th in the NFL. So not good, okay? Another thing working in the 49ers' favor is that they just added Chase Young. So that's good for them. That should help them. And the Jags, okay, ready? Listen for this stat. The Jacksonville Jaguars have not beaten the San Francisco 49ers in 18 years. Now, I really don't know how often they play each other, but it's been 18 years since the Jacksonville Jaguars win. Therefore, I am taking San Francisco. Let's hope they come back from that losing and start going on, even though I feel like they are going to be my biggest rival in the NFC, being an Eagles fan. Okay? Next up, let's talk to you about the New Orleans Saints at the Minnesota Vikings. Yeah. So the Saints, you got Kendrick Miller running back. He's questionable. He suffered an ankle sprain last week. Then you have the Vikings. Jalen Nailor, wide receiver, is questionable. He has a concussion, most likely not playing. TJ Hawkinson, one of their best players in the team. Tight end, questionable. Ribs. Nick Mullen, questionable. Could return from IR. Don't know. Jefferson is still on the IR list. They are deciding whether or not to bring him back. And Kirk Cousins did just have his surgery, so he's on the IR list as well. So what did they have? Josh Dobbs for the Vikings, though. First off, I would just like to say I couldn't believe the guy who was on Arizona Cardinals got traded to the Vikings and managed to help the Vikings win last week. I did not pick the Vikings. I think they won by a field goal, and I was beyond surprised that that was even the case to begin with. So I am taking the Saints. I don't think either team is truly that much better than the other. But I'm taking New Orleans here, okay, guys? I'm not really sure. I think that the Minnesota Vikings has too many of their major players out. I don't even know how they managed to win last week. Just truly surprised. Next up, we got Green Bay at Pittsburgh. And, you know, we all know that Green Bay has not been the same since losing Aaron Rodgers. I'm sure if you were a Chicago fan, you are absolutely thrilled to probably have him go. You're probably tired of him being in the league. If you're a Packers fan, some people I know are hesitant about that. Well, Rodgers leaving, and other people were thrilled. Green Bay, Christian Watson, the wide receiver, is still questionable with a back and chest injury. And as for the Steelers, no major injuries to report for this week for new wise. I don't know. Like I said, I'm taking Pittsburgh. So if you picked Pittsburgh, okay, if you picked Pittsburgh, let me know your picks down below for some of the games, at least some of your favorite teams, any of the items that I do have. If they do win, I will be giving out an item for them. Okay, so Barbie's picking Pittsburgh. Next up, you have Tennessee at Tampa Bay. So the Titans, Treylon Burks, wide receiver, is questionable with concussion. Ryan Tannehill is questionable with their quarterback. So Will Levis will be starting again. He's actually not doing too bad, I would say. Bucks, no major injuries to report. I do think that the Tennessee Titans are going to be able to pull out a win here. You know, I think that Tampa has been a lot better than I thought they would for this season, for sure. Like I said, I also do have this cool still Tampa Bay little phone thing that are also giving away. I'm excited for this. You know, let me know. Yeah, Titans. Just taking the Titans. Next up, Atlanta at Arizona. Main reason I am wearing red today. I will be at the Arizona Cardinal game on Sunday with one of my great friends, Mike. He is absolutely fantastic. He lives in Arizona. We went to the Eagles-Cardinals game last season, and this year we are going again to a game. We get to walk around the stadium, have fun. Him and I already both know that this game is going to be in the air, and we don't necessarily care, but we're just going to go and have a good time, do some tailgating. You know, it's definitely not the Eagles-Arizona Cardinals game like it was last season when we went. But, hey, you know, it's always nice to hang out with friends and cheer on football together. So I'm kind of repping for Arizona, but at the end of the day, I'm picking Atlanta. So it's kind of like I win either way. Like, I'm going to pick Atlanta to win, but I'm going to rep the Cardinals for him. I'm just going to wear red, though, because both teams have red in them. So I'll probably just wear red and black because honestly, at the end of the day, I don't care who wins. I'm picking Atlanta, but I'm not really a fan of either. Just like for the Raiders game, I wore a Giants jersey. Thank you, Steve, for letting me borrow your jersey. I was wearing the Giants jersey to support friends. However, I did pick the Raiders to win that game, but I was wearing my Giants jersey that Steve let me borrow for the day for my friends who are both Giants fans. Okay. Atlanta for their injuries, Mac Hollis, wide receiver, who is questionable with an ankle injury. And then you have Drake London, a wide receiver, who is questionable with a groin injury. As for Arizona, Kyler Murray might come back. He was activated with his knee injury on Tuesday. Michael Williams, our wide receiver, is questionable. Amari DeMarcado, running back, questionable. James Conner, running back, knee, says that he's ready to go. I'm not really sure, though, if he will come and play. So Barbie's picking Atlanta. So red and black, both teams here will be wearing on Sunday. So tune in for that video. I will have that video up next week. Next up, you have Detroit at the Chargers. Lions, David Montgomery, their running back is questionable. Rib, he does have a good chance of coming back. And then as for the Chargers, Josh Palmer, wide receiver, is on the IR list. I'm picking Detroit, man. I think Detroit's on fire. I think Detroit's doing fantastic. Like I said, I picked them to be the winners of the NFC North, and I do think that they are going to take that win. You know, Detroit has been doing pretty well this season. The Chargers, maybe not so much. Yeah, I'm just curious what's going to happen. Detroit here. Okay. Next up, we have Giants at Dallas. As much as we are a Dallas fan, I should say, in this house, and more of a Giants fan, okay, than we are a Dallas fan in this house by far. That's another reason I wear Giants jersey. It's not like I'm going to wear Dallas's jersey, so don't ever put that on me. You won't see me wear Dallas. However, I will wear the Giants stuff because if it's not for the Eagles in this house, we also root for the Giants and the Panthers, okay, unless I obviously play the Eagles, then I'm rooting for the Eagles. But I'm picking Dallas, man. Dallas has no major new injuries for that matter. And as for the Giants, unfortunately, Daniel Jones is out once again. He did tear his ACL in the Raiders game. Literally, he came back. I didn't even think he was playing. Last minute, turned out he was playing. I was almost like, damn, I should have picked the Giants. And then, God, I still picked the Raiders. Tyron Taylor, their quarterback, rib is still out. So now we're basically on DeVito. So we kept calling him Dan DeVito. That was pretty funny. Darren Waller, tight end, is still out with a hamstring injury as well. So you have your major quarterback, your backup quarterback, and one of your main tight ends is out. Man, no bueno. Dallas we go. Unfortunately, I had to pick them. Then we got Washington Commanders at Seattle. The Commanders, Curtis Samuel, their wide receiver, is questionable. As for Seattle, DJ Dallas, running back, is questionable with a shoulder injury. Those are the new major kind of injuries. You know, I do like Seattle here, though. I really think I'm going to take Seattle. You know, I think they're doing much, you know, on kind of par. I wouldn't say much better, but maybe on par, I would say, with what I thought they were going to do for the season. More like the Commanders have been the ones who surprised me, but I don't think they're beating Seattle at Seattle's home, which I hear is a fantastic stadium to go to. So we're picking Seattle. Next up, the Sunday night game is Jets at Las Vegas Raiders. The Jets, no major injuries report. Same with the Raiders, no major injuries. I was really surprised, though, that the Raiders did win the game last Sunday. I had no idea who was really going to win that game. I think that the Las Vegas Raiders have a chance to beat the Jets, even though the Jets were the team that knocked out my Eagles so far for the season. Wasn't really a fan of that. I couldn't believe that the Jets beat us as our first loss. It's like I never have a problem losing if I think it's to a really good team, and the Jets just do have a good defense. That is definitely what is going for them. Clearly, we know that Zach Wilson is not there. Aaron Rodgers is throwing balls and is walking with his injury after having his surgery. I'm really curious. Does anybody think that Aaron Rodgers is going to come back? I'm super, super curious on that. Next up, we have Denver at Buffalo Bills. So like I said, we also do have the Broncos. If you are a Broncos fan, we do have a lanyard for you. So Denver, no new injury support. Same with Buffalo. I do think that Buffalo is going to take this. If Denver wins this game, I'm going to be highly surprised. So let me know your picks down below. Comment. Would love to know. Please, like, comment, subscribe. It truly does help my algorithm. I'm trying to at least up my subscriber count, and I do appreciate all those who watch my videos. Thank you so much, guys. I love you all. I will talk to you later. Ta-ta for now. Oh, and as for the prize winner, his name is DeGain Fun on YouTube. Please message me your email address. I will contact you. You can pick any which prize that you do want. And so we have a Tampa Bay phone holder, Denver Broncos. We got a Steelers towel, Eagle pendant, and we also do have Raiders towels. So if you would like any of these or know anybody who would to gain fun, please message me your email address and I will ship one to you. Thank you. Bye, guys.